All right, so we're almost done with all the features on our end cap back part here. So let's take a look at what we have left. Um, we have this hole here on the right side of our part, and you can't see. It's a bad angle, but from here, this hole doesn't go all the way through. It's 10 millimeters deep and 10 millimeters wide, and there's also one identical to it on the opposite side, on the left side of this part, um, that we're going to add also. Okay. All right. So before we add our part on the right side here, we need to mark off a point that will indicate the center of where our hole is going to go. So let's go to this right side, right click, and create a new sketch. Okay, and then we're going to let's grab the point, the center point, and I could just place this point anywhere and then go up and use the horizontal and vertical constraint to center it, or I can use something a little bit more uh, time efficient. Is as I get closer to the center here, you notice these purple dotted lines here. That indicates the center, in this case, both vertically and horizontally. If I move it off a little bit, I'm centered vertically, but not horizontally. And now here, you can see that I'm centered horizontally, but not vertically. But now I'm centered in both vertical and horizontal directions. So place a point there, and that is the exact center of our right side. That's exactly where the center of our hole is going to go. So right click OK, get out of that, finish sketch. Okay, so now we can go and grab our hole feature, and here are the settings you're going to need for your hole. You want to do from sketch. It's got to be drilled, simple hole. You want this to be angled, and then your depth of your hole is going to be 10 millimeters and your diameter is 10 millimeters. And of course, you might make sure your termination says distance here. Okay. So, and that is, once you have all of those, go ahead and you can either click OK on the main menu or this green check mark on this mini menu. All right. So now this hole, like I said, doesn't go all the way through, and we want to have one. We need one identical to that on the left side also. And so to accomplish that, we're going to I'm going to show you a new feature, the mirror feature, and also adding a new work plane feature. So this time, before we get to the mirror feature, let's go up to plane and go up to mid plane between two parallel planes. Okay. So I'm going to create I want a middle plane, and I want to start with this right side. Left click on that. Then I go over here to this left side, and left click on that, and see what it did is that feature created a work plane halfway in between. These two planes here are parallel, and it created a mid plane right in between them. Right? And so now the next thing we're going to use is the mirror feature. And notice that the mirror feature is located in this pattern section because we've already created a hole and we just want to duplicate it. So that's what you do when you're using any of these pattern features. Okay, so whenever you're using anything in the pattern section, the first thing that you need to select is what features are you going to duplicate. And the feature that we want to duplicate is this hole here. All right, so now that's highlighted, and now we want to go over here and select mirror plane. And the question is, which plane do we want to mirror? Do we want our hole to use as a mirror, so to speak? So we want this is halfway. This is the halfway point of our part here. So if we select this plane that we just created, this hole is going to put this hole the same distance that it is from this plane here on this opposite side. So let's go ahead and select this. All right, and then go ahead and click OK. And so now if I go around to my left side, you can see I have another hole just like the one on the right side. Okay. Now, that technique I just used, there are different ways to achieve that same outcome. You could just went over to the left side and, place the point and chose the hole feature. You could do that also, but just these, as you get into more complex parts, understanding and knowing all of these different features that are available will make working in Inventor a lot easier. So now let's turn off this work plane here because we don't need this. And so find it in your browser and turn off the visibility, and we can look here at our part and just make sure that everything didn't miss anything. So here's our end cap back, and that's exactly what we wanted. Okay, and so now we are finished.